Thank you, guys, and niece. Thank you guys for coming. I'm honored to welcome an amazing speaker, and thank you so much, Mel, for joining us today. I'm sure you have read about Mel. Some of you, as far as I understand, know him very well. I would love to talk about him, like few words from the perspective I know him from. And I know him from 100 MCC Coaches project that he's doing. Just wanted to mention how valuable that project is, Mel. And as I said last time, I'm looking forward to my next vacation so that I have enough time to watch all those amazing people having all giving all the ideas and thoughts and insights they have gathered during the huge journey they have had they have gathered by the time they have became MCC. So thank you for that, and I'm happy to pass to Mel with his very intriguing theme, coaching as you have never imagined. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nana. Thank you so much for the invitation, ICF Armenia. And if you're not from the chapter, well, you may consider, we as coaches can choose which chapter to be a part of. We don't have to physically be in the location. We know that, right? Yeah. I've got friends from Africa who are part of New York ICF chapter. So we're a global society. And once again, I just want to say happy International Coaching Week. Everybody give yourself a big hand. Yay! This is our week, man. You excited? Yeah, we should be celebrating the power of coaching, but also celebrating the people that have come up. The reason that I have the 100 master coaches is so that we can honor the wonderful people that have come our way. I would love to get to know you better, but maybe we can connect after the session somehow on LinkedIn or whatever. So let's get to it. And I know as well that ICF Armenia is having a physical session at 3:30. So I best get out of the way as soon as possible so you can all go for that session. Okay. So I better start soon. Here we go. I just want to say that I will be sharing my story, right? And throughout this, you'll be listening to an account of Mel. All right. So I'm not saying this is going to be a story that is for everyone. It is just a snapshot of my life. And you know what? If I have a story like this, you have a story like this as well. You have perhaps even a better, more powerful, impactful story that you can share to the world because your story matters, right? Tell yourself right now, I just want to honor you by saying that if you can tell yourself that my story matters. So to tell yourself even right now, my story matters. Yeah. It is an important thing for us to honor our stories as well along the way. So this is a little bit about my story and my journey of coaching. So let me tell you a little bit of that journey. I did not start out as a coach. I started out in, of all places, I worked for American company called Ogilvy. And then from there, I moved on to the other side. They often say into the dark side, which is the client side. And I became a client. Right? I worked for companies like Colgate, Palmolive, Johnson & Johnson as a marketing person. So my background is actually in FMCG marketing. So I don't know whether there are people here with your background. If it's possible, could you just type, what did you do before coaching, right? We all have a story before coaching, right? So why don't you type so that we can all read your beautiful, tapestry, yeah, your lovely cloth that has been put together. Yeah, beautiful. Put it in the chat. What did you do before coaching? Okay, so for everyone to see. All right. So we'll get that going so that you can read all of that. Right. So coming back to me, I finished off with this marketing thing after like 12, 13 years of it. And I was kind of like, in that, okay, 30s. Okay. I was in my 30s and I was like, I'm sure there is more to life than this. I was picturing my bosses and I was looking at them and like, okay, if that's what I'm going to be in the future, there must be something more exciting. I was just telling myself, right? And then I realized that there's certain personal decisions that you and I make as well that may impact the road to our journey, our continuous journey. So for me, it took a little bit of a turn and I went to Australia. You see, I'm originally from Malaysia. Anyone has been to Malaysia or heard of Malaysia? Please give me a wave, please. So, no? Okay. It's okay if you've not heard of Malaysia. We're a small country there in the Southeast Asia, next to Singapore. Everyone knows Singapore. and from there, I moved country. I moved the family. We moved to Melbourne, Australia. And it was in that time when I often say I bumped into coaching, right? Because at the point of time in my life, I did not actually get back into marketing. I could have, but to be very frank, not many opportunities came my way. And so the doors were closing because often people, when I went for interview, people say, wow, international experience, but zero Australian experience. How are you going to market the product in Australia? Like, I don't know. If no one gives me a chance, I probably won't. And so that was the case. And what happened was I then bumped into coaching. It was a new world. Remember, it was 2005. I don't know what you were doing in 2005, but I was moving to Australia, trying to settle in. And that's when I bumped into coaching. And just like perhaps your story, when we bump into coaching, our lives change, don't it? Yeah. If you agree, give me a thumbs up. Man. Has your life changed because you bumped into coaching along? Yeah. Certainly with me, I bumped into coaching, and you know what? I started to realize there were a lot of things that I did in corporate that weren't really right. The way I led people, the way I talk to people, the way I motivate people. I initially thought I was a great leader. And then I started to learn about coaching. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't really use a lot of these questions. I often did a very directive way of leading people, to my objectives, obviously. So anyway, all right. So that was the story of how it went so far. And you know what? After a couple of years, I was already a PCC by then, right? So the year was like 2012, I believe. And I was already a PCC then. And this happened. The journey was smooth at a point of time, but there was this moment where I needed to stop. There are times where thank you.
I think
so
that's fine.
yeah, it's probably fine too. Okay, we're ready. So there are times in your life and my life where this this hand comes and stops us. And this was a close friend of mine. And he said to me, "Hey, Mel, I want you to actually meet this person." And I'm like, "Okay, what's so special about this person you want me to meet?" He says, "Well, you will know when you meet him because he is visually impaired." And I stopped and said, okay, visually impaired, a person who is, obviously blind. And why do you want me to meet him? And he says, "Well, just meet him, and maybe you have a great conversation. You like to connect with people, so meet this person." And so I thought, yeah, why not, right? Let's give it a go. I've never actually had a chance to talk to a visually impaired person. And then we end up talking for an hour. So I met this person over lunch, right? He came with his wife and we were talking. And you know what? Suddenly it dawned to me that the things that he was saying were things I was not ever thinking about. He was thinking about making impact for the visually impaired people like him. And he was thinking about how we could bring this for the non-visually impaired, the people with eyesight, to be able to understand the world of the visually impaired. So I thought, that's amazing, isn't it? Because we often take for granted that we can see things, just like we can see each other. We can see our clients, right? We want to meet up with people, right? We love all these visual distractions sometimes. And you realize that sometimes all these visual cues might not be the right messaging that is coming to us because we've got so much distractions these days, right? With social media, if you ever just allow yourself let loose and you could just scroll whole day long, if you know what I mean. You and I are just drawn into this world these days, of course, where the visual cues become our impetus of the information coming in. So I thought, wow, that is so amazing. I wonder what it would be like if I was visually impaired. Have you ever thought that before? If you did not have your eyesight? Think for it for a moment. If you just had your other senses, of course, your ability to hear, what would you actually listen into even deeper, at a deeper level, without being distracted by all those visual cues? And that day, my life changed because I had a conversation that was brought to me, and there was a concern on the table because the concern says, I want to bring these two worlds together. I want the visually impaired and the non-visually impaired to come together at a meeting point. That was a concern of his, so that there will be understanding. And there was a challenge on the table as well, because after the 1 hour, actually I asked the powerful question, because I was so touched by his story. I said, what can I do to help your cause? I did not know where the question came from, to be frank with you, but I was so moved at that moment. And I asked, what can I do to help your cause? And he took aback, he was taken aback because he didn't expect me to ask that question. And that became a friendship that lasted for a few years because we partnered. And this is him. His name is Stevens Chan. And there's this story that I want to tell you about this statement, from darkness to light. One of the things that he he tells me vividly, I remember, is that he says, you know, I may not have eyesight, but I have a vision to see this come true. And his vision is, you can see it here, is empowering corporations to educate, equip, and create an inclusive society. I think that's so amazing. And I worked with him. We started out a social enterprise. It was a crazy venture, right? But can you imagine? I don't know. Maybe some of you here run social enterprises, but you know, me, corporate man, I did not run any social enterprise. I did a lot of things just for me, just being very frank here, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But suddenly I was drawn to this world. And you know what? We started this thing called Dialogue in the Dark. Actually, it was not our idea, but we brought it to Malaysia. It is a German franchise, by the way, Dialogue in the Dark. If you've not heard of it, please experience it. They have exhibitions around the world, which allows you and I to be immersed in pitch black darkness and experience what it is to see and feel the experiences of the other. Yeah. And it helps build actually a lot of things that we do in coaching, right? It helps build empathy and understanding with other people very quickly, because suddenly we've lost something that is so important to us, right? So that's my little first story that I want to share with you. And I never thought in 1,000 years that I would be a part of a social enterprise, if you know what I mean. I never thought of it. But because I said yes to that conversation and that concern and allow myself to be challenged, that opened up a world that I've never experienced before. And you know what? We started to do workshops in pitch black darkness and activities in dark spaces with clients, so that the clients can begin to truly listen to one another. You know, when they lose the senses of being in control with their sight and start to listen in on just what other people are saying, or perhaps in the darkness, we've seen many times when a leader goes into a dark space, we've seen the reverse happen. They lose all control and they start shouting louder. They become wanting to be more in control. And we've seen all kinds of dynamics, but I just want to share with you that first story. And you know what? I'm going to move in time. And so from that story, it took me to a place in India. Again, anyone here been to India? And for me, it was my first time to India. Right? It was because of the Dialogue in the Dark. They had a global conference. They brought all the partners. We flew in from wherever we were around the world. And we went to India to a social enterprise school, which is a venue, a place there in Kerala, India. And I met such amazing people there. You know, this conference was so unique, because imagine, I've never been in India. I was in India, but the special thing about this school called Kantari, you can Google it, Kantari, is that Kantari is a social enterprise school, which its purpose is to develop social entrepreneurs, right, from Africa. They allow them to come to live in Kantari, which is a like a hostel, right, for 7 months, and then they go back with this social enterprise certificate. You know, they got training from them, free, by the way. It's free, it's by application, and they go back to Africa and they continuously do their social enterprise there, right? So it becomes like an incubator kind of thing, in a place where people can learn skill sets and go back. And you know what? I met these amazing young Africans. And it was a mind blow for me because I was in India and here I was, I didn't expect to be meeting young Africans. And they were there serving us because we used their location. And so I had this curiosity. And by the way, if you notice, I'm giving you C's here today. A couple of C's for you to take home, yeah? I'm giving you altogether, I won't tell you how many, but I hope you write down some of the C's that are meaningful for you, okay? All right? Don't have to write down everything because, you know, it's my story, right? Just listen to it and picture yourself and ask yourself perhaps what of these parts that's going to perhaps inspire you for yourself, for your journey, okay? But I had this curiosity. And you know what? After the conference was done, I asked the permission for this owner. By the way, this owner is also visually impaired, right? And she's German. So another mind blow, a German visually impaired person started a school in India for Africans. I said it. I don't know whether that mind blows you, but it certainly mind blows me because I don't understand that at all. Why a person would do that. I wouldn't leave my country, go to another country and set up a social enterprise school, but that's a call from that person's life, right? So I stayed back one more day and I asked permission from this lady, and she said, okay, as long as you don't pinch them, you know, I want them to finish the program and they go back to Africa and all that. I'm saying, hey, I just want to interview them because I'm curious. I'm a coach. I'm a very curious person. So I want to hear their story. So I connected with them. I had interviews with them for a day. And I'll be frank with you, that changed my life because I heard stories that blew my mind. There were some, all of them had ideas in their heart, passions, I would say, that they wanted to go back to their country. Like there was this one girl who wanted to go back to Zimbabwe and help these young women to come out and be successful, right? And not be stuck in that social economic issues of the country. There was another person, which I will feature next, where he says, I want to set prisoners free. So again, I'm like, oh my gosh, why are you telling me all these strange things to my ears? Because I've never heard people like that before. I only know corporate people, and they never say they want to set prisoners free ever before. Okay. So this young man, he wanted to go back to Nigeria and he wanted to start up libraries in prisons with a mentoring program. Okay. So he goes in there, he set up libraries, and the libraries become access because he says books are the things that sets people's minds free. All right. So he himself could not read before, and he could read after that, and he started to eat up books. This is him, by the way. His name is Adamu Bashiru, and he's a social change maker. His call is to ignite and inspire the youth and the future leaders and give them a chance to escape the prisons of their minds. I thought that was amazingly beautiful. I don't know whether this is blowing you in your mind, but it didn't make sense to me. In my logical sense, it didn't make sense. Why would someone give their life to do that cause? And I thought he was joking, but I follow up with him. By the way, just to let you know, I started to devote my time to these young Africans. And I flew back from India. I told myself I wanted to give them the gift of coaching. So I started to volunteer to give them pro bono coaching for 2 years. And after 2 years of giving them pro bono coaching, so a select number of them, right, I started to realize that maybe I should go there to Africa and meet them and see what we can do on the land. And that's what happened. So these are just some pictures of what I did. This is one of his prisons. and these are the wardens. I cannot show prisoners and their faces. So these are just some fun pictures. That's the head warden, and they were giving me stuff to wear and all that. It's pretty strange. And we called it catalyst because it is that word, isn't it? If we think about it as coaches, I believe we are all called to be somewhat like a little catalyst, right, into someone's life. I don't know whether you agree with me. It's okay if you don't, but I think that we're called to just create that little 1%. That little 1% can make the impact to that other percent. And that's what I feel what coaching is about and what this word catalyst is. I've been there 3 times now to Nigeria. I never dream in the wildest dreams that I will go to my first nation I thought I would go to a safari in South Africa or something like that, to be very frank, but it didn't happen. I still haven't been to a safari. I've been to Africa 3 times now, but it's more to do this work. As you can see, we've created a friendship. By the way, now Bashiru is in 8 prisons in Nigeria, and we've even created coaching programs for his prisons. By the way, just to let you know, I managed to rally some of the wonderful coaches, friends, and we created a program that they can reuse in the prisons for the people. And then there's another story. I'll tell you a couple of stories tonight. I hope you're okay. Are we all right still? All right, Nana, I'm looking at time. Are we good? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Let me continue the story.
And your stories are amazing. Thank you for sharing those. And my understanding from, I mean, just a few words. I think stories teach so much. I mean, the best way to share what you want to share is stories. So we're good.
Thank you. Thank you. And so my little next encounter is with this amazing person that I never knew was so amazing. To be frank with you, I did my, you know, as coaches, we take part in different certifications. So I don't know how many you've done. I've done a couple. I'm a bit of a certificate kind of guy, you know. I go after different certificates. Okay. Maybe it's that success performance mindset I have. I don't know from the corporate, but that's how it is. And one of the certs I went was I did this diploma in coaching, and in the graduation of it, the mentor coach said, you know, today as we graduate, you know, our last day, we're going to invite a special speaker to come and meet us. You know, and he's amazing, and he was the one that was part of creating the Grow model. Apart from him, there's other 2 more people being part of the Grow model. Anyone here know the Grow model? All right. So I said, okay, great. We studied the Grow model in this program as well, the extended Grow model, but I actually didn't know this person. I didn't know who he was. So at the end of it, I found out that this person was Sir John Whitmore. And Sir John Whitmore is one of those, I realized after the fact that he was one of the co-founders of ICF, coaching. He was there with Thomas Leonard and all of that. So there's a lot of story behind all of that, but it started with a celebration. So I actually didn't want to go for the celebration. I'm like, I don't know who this person is, right? John Whitmore is like, who he is, I don't know, you know. But I stayed back and I still went for it. And everyone was like, oh, John. I'm like, okay. And when he walked in, everyone was so afraid to talk to him but me, because I did not know who he was. So sometimes it's good to be ignorant, to be naive, ignorant, whatever you call it. I just walked up to him and say, "Hi, John, welcome. Welcome to this party to celebrate us because we're graduating," but I didn't know it was actually for him. And but I'm like, "Oh, welcome to this party." And everyone was just like, "Oh my God, it's John Whitmore." Oh my gosh. So I'm like, "I don't know who you are." So I just talked to you. So I was the first person to approach John, and I'm like, hey, John, how are you? And he really struck up a conversation. And then suddenly you can see you know, you've been to networking events where people, you know, with their cup and they're watching you and then they want to join you, right? Because that person is there, for example, you know, whoever is Marshall Goldsmith or whoever, they're like slowly they come with their cup and they're like, hi. They start to join the group, right? The group becomes bigger and bigger. But John was still talking to me because it's strange, because I found that John was very focused, and yet he was very carefree. It was very light-hearted. I don't know whether that's a good thing about coaching. I realized that, do we make things too serious as a coach? Now that I realize that and I've reached that MCC level, have I made coaching too serious, too stringent, you know, too, I don't know, structured? I don't know. But when I met John for the first time, it was like talking to a friend I've not seen for a long time. Mind you, this was my first time talking to him. And he was just saying like, oh, Mel, oh, nice to meet you. And he was such a beautiful man. And I guess, you know, that taught me this important few words, which is that carefree spirit. Do we have this carefree spirit as a coach? Or do we have this very, I don't know, what's the opposite of that? That heaviness, right? We're so serious. We're all about business. We're all about, you know, performance and working with that coachee to, you know, get them that position or whatever, right? And when I talked to John, it just made me feel like, wow, I want to be like John when I grow up. You know what I mean? Have you ever said that? I want to be like this person when I grow up. And I'm not young anymore, of course, but you know, John's much older than me, so I can still say that I want to be like John when I grow up as a coach, right? He was so carefree and yet so centered, so centered. He made me feel like I was the only person in the room. So that was super special, and I never forget that experience. Now, that was not the last time I met him. I met him three other times, and once was over breakfast in London, and I was in London, and I just wrote to him, and he said, "Come, I'll buy you breakfast." It's that kind of person, right? It's like a lost friend. You know, like I'm sure Nana will buy me breakfast in when I visit her, right? One day, I'm sure. Right? It's just like that, right? And so this happened, and the last time I met him, was, I can't remember exactly when. I think it was 2014 was the last time I met him, and it was the time when I was in London with my wife. Right. And again, I felt really bad because it's like, John, you know, I know you're okay to meet me, but my wife's along with me in this trip. He says, bring your wife along and I'll give you my address. And I'm like, meet you at your house? And he says, yeah, come over to my house. I'll serve you tea and biscuits. I'm like, wow. That just, that's because I've gone through many mind-blowing experiences that I never knew that it's possible if you open them out and ask. So I said, you know, sure, thank you, I'll be there. Anyway, cut that story. Slide's not moving. Okay, so for those who do not know John, so this is he. Yes, he has passed on. He's one of the pioneers of coaching. And you can find out about his body of work there. And of course, if you've not gotten his book, Coaching for Performance, the 5th edition, right? There was a rewrite of parts of it as he passed on. They did a release of the 5th edition. You should get that. It's a beautiful book. But this conversation really changed my life. And this is me and him in the park. because John said, I'll just meet you at a train station and I'll walk with you to my house. He was exactly like that. He was, paper on here, wearing his cap, waiting for me in the train station. And I was late, by the way, on top of that. I made him wait. And he was just so amazing. And throughout the whole conversation of 1 hour, we did not talk about coaching. That's the funniest part about everything. Sometimes with relationships and connections, what is important in the room is the person in the room. Coming back to that word again, the centeredness. Are we making the things that we're talking about the center of our coaching? Or is the person the important part, the center of what we're doing? And again, John made the conversation between the three of us, including my wife. He brought my wife into the conversation. So we didn't talk about coaching. My wife may have felt left out. Do you understand that point? He talked about everything besides coaching. And then a couple of years go by, and I meet many other people, and one of them that is very important in my life is this person named Natalie Ashdown. And she was also the person that allowed me to take the diploma into Asia, before I had my own school, and helped me in coaching. So I realized that I lacked credibility throughout my journey to where I'm at right now, which is still a learning space, I call it, work in progress. But when I was younger, I realized I had this insecurity. And I don't know whether you've gone through any of that. It is an important thing to understand and to work on, because sometimes we do bring our insecurity to our clients, and that's not very good, right? And so I have that as well. So one of those things was that word credibility, because I often felt a little small, and I always felt like I was still needing to learn this, and I'm not good enough, and all of that. So I have a lot of internal talk in my head that is not so positive, if you know what I mean, the internal dialogues and narratives that I talk to myself with. And through the years, of course, that credibility has grown, but it's still there, that noises, right? So there was that question on credibility. And so one of the things that perhaps will help you is to let you know that don't journey this road alone in coaching. I hope that you are connected with other coaches. And so this other word, C word, is collaboration. Never walk alone, or never become an island as a coach, because if you do, and I've experienced that myself, it's a very painful lesson at the end of the day. And it's always more encouraging when you're journeying with someone. And so I journeyed with Natalie through this. And from that journey, I realized that there was this other word called commitment. I needed to put in as much as I took out. You see, collaboration will help you because other people will add things to you. But we also need to add into the pot, into that commitment of what they need. So basically, it's that attitude of wanting to serve another person. So in collaboration, I think the best collaborations is when two parties serve one another and meet each other's needs. It's like having a partner in life. It's the same thing, isn't it? If we're only thinking about taking from the partner, then it's going to be difficult, right, in a relationship. And so this is Natalie, by the way. And it was because of her and her insight and the lessons I've learned from her. She's in Melbourne, Natalie Ashdown. We co-wrote this book together, Bring Out Their Best. And you know, the funniest thing about the whole experience is that if you can see the foreword up there, it's the foreword's written by Sir John Whitmore. And I'm telling you the story this way is because I wanted you to see how things connecting. Things don't often fall in a linear way. That means a straight line. Things often fall in life in decisions that we choose to make or decisions that we choose not to make as a coach, right? As you are building your business. I hope this will encourage you to take that step. If that step is to collaborate with someone that you're thinking, shall I work alone? Because if I work alone, then the whole cake is mine, you know, get it? But when you think about it, you know, the more we can share the cake, maybe they bring another cake, right? I love to eat cakes, by the way. So Nana, take note. I like cakes, I like sweets and, you know, ice cream and just kidding. So what I'm saying is that, you know, if everybody brings a different cake, what happens? It's a cake party, right? We will have different beautiful cakes to try. Versus saying, oh, this is my piece. Oh, no, this is your piece, very small. Let's give you your piece. You know what I mean? If everybody serves one another, this will come about, you know. There are books that needs to be written that's not yet been written, and it's in you. You know it. I know I'm talking to the right crowd here. There is a book that is going to come out maybe next year, and it's just inside you right now. So this is a little bit of a story. Two more stories, and then I'm done. Okay. Thanks for being with me thus far. But at the end of the sixth story, there is a little bit of homework, if you like. Not really homework, but you know what I mean. That as coaches, we give a chance for people to take action, right? And so there is a chance for you to take action too after that. Is that your son, Natalie? Is okay, anyway, sorry. So I'm sure you know what this is, right? It is a process of breaking and putting back. And that I had to go through before my MCC or achievement of the MCC. There was a lot of painful lessons for me to learn from it. And in here are just three. I knew that throughout that journey, I needed to be calm and not to have that insecurity of that performance mindset to come into my coaching. And I'll be frank with you, it was always there. Often I needed to show up even more than needed. I don't know whether I'm making sense here. Sometimes appear too much in a coaching session. Sometimes say too much. Sometimes ask too much. Sometimes having too strong of a presence, you know. Versus allowing my coachee to be the hero and heroines, right? It is an insecurity of mine. Because of my insecurity, I bring this energy, or whatever we want to call it, bring this intention, right, to showcase that, hey, I'm asking you a powerful question, right? Right, Anna? And I see you there, so you know, it's like, wow. And then your coachee goes like, wow, that was good. And then we feel good, right? We're like, yeah, I did that 3 times in this session. I don't know whether you feel that. Maybe I'm the only one. I'm the only one that feels that, but I felt that before, and I realized through that journey that I was trying too hard, that I needed to calm down. Really, I needed to scale back, calm down, and let the coachee perform, not the coach perform. The coach shouldn't be performing. Okay. I also needed to be contented to a point that I was okay to fail. Now, this was difficult. because I did not pass my MCC in the first go. Okay. And it was tough because it made me think I wasn't good enough again. They failed you. So you are not masterful enough. You're not good enough now. And so the voices all coming in. And I realized that after trying a couple of times, by the way, I did not just fail once, I failed a couple of times. I won't tell you how many times, but I failed a couple of times, okay? All right. And I'm okay today to tell you about it. In those days, I would shy back and not say it, But today I'm so okay in sharing that. Because I realize that if you understand that failure is part of our growth, that continuity, right? That ability to understand that our journey is continuous. That journey is not just reaching the mountaintop. Woo, done it. But it is continuous. It was March 2020. And I know you realize what March 2020 is. It was lockdown. It was COVID. And I received this in the mail. I don't know. It was like, I don't know, God up there wanted to have a laugh at me. I don't know, it's like a big joke, right? It's like, woohoo, congratulations, COVID, lockdown, MCC. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this, right? In fact, I still have it here. It's in the envelope here in my desk to remind me. You see? It's still here. And the pin is still inside here. Okay. I have that to remind me that this is not a destination. This is not just something you climb that mountain, and you're like, woo, I've climbed this mountain. I've scaled it, done it once. That's it. Goodbye. That's it. I'm masterful. It made me realize that I had so much more to learn, so much more to unpack, to unlearn, to release, to let go of, and to be able to be happy with less. And that less is the presence that I want to bring to every coachee that I work with today. So that every session will be less and less of me, less and less of Mel, more and more of me just holding up the mirror to my coachee. Because at the end of the day, what do we do as coaches? You may have your own definition. My definition is this: a coach is someone who faithfully holds up the mirror to his client. You see, when you hold up the mirror to your client, what happens? You disappear. Because if I held a mirror in front of you, what happened? What do you see? You only notice yourself. Can you see me if I held up a mirror in front of you? No, you can't. So I start to realize that the more as I go about this journey, I realize that actually the less I know, and it's all right, I can begin to release that to that holding and focus on just holding up the mirror. My last story is this. After that, I realized that I needed courage, because all along I was not courageous to be me. I realized it. I wasn't courageous enough to just be Mel. I wanted to be like my mentors. I wanted to be like someone else, John Whitmore, other people. I don't know whether you have those mentors that you admire and you're like, I want to be like them one day. But the point when I reached to say that, hey, today I just want to be more and more like me. The courage to allow me to come out and allow me to show up. The most authentic self, right? The most not to show up in a way that I'm going to prove something anymore. I have nothing else to prove, because it's not about my story, it's about my client's story. So I'm just going to show up however it is. Today I especially wore this shirt, by the way. This shirt is part of your flag in Armenia. You have the red, the blue, and the orange, right? So I don't really have the right orange, I know. I'm sorry. But I wore this specially because I know that I want to connect with you. and I want to have the courage to show up as I am, because this is what I am. If I don't have to wear this, it's okay, but it's cold because it's autumn. I would just wear a t-shirt, okay? Because I love wearing my t-shirts. It's just having the courage, and I realized that these are the 2 C's, the last 2 C's I'll give you. Creativity. We've got to allow our creativity to come out. Just like you realize that we often say our coaches are what? Creative, resourceful, and whole, right? Right? Everyone knows that, right? But do we give ourselves a chance to be creative as well? Right? Flip it the other way around. You are the coaches. How much room do you give yourself to be? It is. There's so much that can be accomplished through your creativity. Some people do beautiful art. Some people are amazing with your hands. Some people are amazing with motivate people. Different angles, So you all don't have to be like the next person or the person you admire. You just got to be you and understand that creativity. And to me, that creativity, and I think the last word is, it also in these days, today, it's got to be somewhat captivating so that it serves the purpose of the person in front of us. Captivating enough to value add, if I may, because these are my words, right? I choose to be creative and captivating enough for the person to be able to come into my circle, into my zone, right? We're inviting people to come in and be with us, right? So that's what's happening. And I realized when I got my MCC, I asked myself, actually, how many other MCCs do I know of? And I'll be frank with you, I was counting with my fingers and I couldn't go past a certain number. I was like, I know this mentor, this was my mentor, this was someone I admire, this. And I couldn't go any more after that. And the truth is, I started to realize that my circle was very small. Remember, I told you to expand it, to collaborate with other people, and yet my circle of knowing, being brave enough, having the courage to approach these other MCCs to have a discussion or talk to was very small. And I was thinking actually of my students, to be frank with you. I thought of my students and I said to my students, I really want you to look outside me. I do not want you to put me on a pedestal just because I'm your mentor coach. I want you to go out there and connect with other master coaches, because when you connect with more people, more other people from different cultures and backgrounds and all that, you start to learn that it's not just one sort of master coach, it's like only we all have to be like this, we all come in different sizes and colors and varieties, and that is beautiful. And so that idea came, and I wanted to share this, and I know we've talked about it at the start. This idea came during lockdown because I actually had a lot of time in my hands to learn something new. I never ever was a podcaster before that. And the lockdown allowed me to become a podcaster. And I basically reached out to a friend and asked a friend who was already podcasting and say, hey, can you teach me how to do this thing? And he taught me graciously. And that's when this idea came about, as what Nana said, the 100 Master Coaches. And I started, of course, approaching the people I knew. So if you notice in season 1, it is people I know, like Jean-Francois, right? Linda Mary from Melbourne, Karen Capello. There's so many faces here. So this was season 1. And then there's season 2, right? And it continued. And then season 3, right? And we're now in season 4. And that's where Nana appeared in season 4, right? And a lot more other amazing master coaches that are going to come your way. And, you know, for me, as I close this story, I want to encourage you that you can create your own, right? Whatever it is that you feel that will bring out the creativity in you, and allow yourself to come out there with that brand, right? With your brand that is unique, and that is your gift that you bring to the world out there. One of the things I realized, one of the quotes that I like is this: sometimes we learn too much about our limitations that we don't actually realize we have powers, right? We believe too strongly about our limitations. We know it by heart, what they are, and we start rejecting what the things that could be. In your coaching journey, there is so much beauty that will come from that. And as we close, this is the question that I'll leave with you. What is that gift that you will be bringing to your community? And I don't really know which community you serve, but ask yourself, it's not just a logical side of it. Like I serve leaders of companies, right? So I do practically executive coaching, leadership coaching, and all that. But there is the part of me that desires to work with social entrepreneurs, and you saw the story, and I still do. And hopefully by sometime this year, I'll go back to Africa once again to continue that story in part 2 of that Africa story. I miss them so much because of COVID, and now we probably can right now. So I'm going to just position all these 18 words again and allow you to just connect with these words once again. And you've heard my story, but you know, my story is not important. Your story is important, because today it is about you. It is about your words that are coming out at you. So if I ask you, what are perhaps 3 words that are coming out at you today that you like to take back as your insights of perhaps something that you can explore a little bit more, what would those 3 words be? And if you have those words, I would love you to just write it down on the chat so that you can close that loop for yourself. At least that you can lock it in for yourself and say, okay, these are my 3 words that I want to explore a little bit more. And I want to, you know, take that into some sort of possibility at the end of the day. What 3 words could become for you in the future. So if you want, just take a picture of this slide and take that gift with that last question, as we are all coaches here. What is possible? What is possible? With that, I say thank you. Do connect with us at Catalyst Coach. This is my school. we have a grand vision to equip 10,000 coaches to impact 10 million over the next 20 years. And I would like to also gift you in the spirit of International Coaching Week for anyone who would like to receive this book from us as a gift. I did not tell Nana earlier. I should have. I'm so sorry. But this is a gift for anyone who would like to have a book. This book, we will send you an e-copy of this book. Do write to us at connect@catalystcoach.life. Last point before I turn it over. If you like to have a piece of Mel to take away, like a little piece of cake, okay? You can get my book, Engage. This is the book I launched last year. There is a little barcode there, or QR code there. You can scan, you can get it in Amazon. And yeah, I tell a lot more stories in there about my journey. And over back to you, Nana. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mel. And I do want to read some of the feedbacks that participants are sharing. Karima is saying, I never had this powerful and amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just a question that Camila couldn't find 100 master coaches in Apple Podcasts. Probably we might, how can we help Camila to find that?
Sure. You just need to put hashtag 100 master coaches like this on the chat. Hashtag 100 master coaches. And if you're on Apple podcast, just put hashtag my name, Leow. Yeah. On YouTube, if you wanna, yeah. We're on YouTube as well. You can see Nana there. Yeah, beautiful.
And a lot of Adriana is saying thank you, great session. Astrid is saying thanks for sharing. Awesome story. Thanks for sharing these insights. Thanks for such a mind-blowing meeting, and a lot of thank yous and a lot of 3 words, Mel, and thanks a lot for offering to share the book as well. I also have my 3 words from those 18, which I'm not going to share right now. I just want to thank you very, very much and share my 3 other words that I really felt inside. And those are, I have a feeling that John Whitmer was with us today. And thank you for bringing him. I know he passed away, but it felt like there was a moment when you were sharing the story with him. Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you for that.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity to connect with you. Yeah, just stay connected, right? You can reach me on LinkedIn, just say where you're from. And yeah, once again, thank you so much, Nana and the team, Kaine, for connecting. And yeah, I wish ICF Armenia all the best. I know she is 1 year old. And it's just the start of a beautiful journey ahead. So well done.
Thank you, Mel. And yes, of course, we will have the recording, guys, in our YouTube channel. And yes, thanks for coming. You can find other events organized by ICF Armenia. We'll be happy to host you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
Take care.